What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to Full Court Heave. It is your host, Shaygoon, and as I promised, we are back. We are doing the draft episode, man. We're going to look at a bunch of prospects, people that I'm interested in, and I think some decisions that the Raptors front office is going to be seriously thinking about come draft day. June 22nd, this Thursday. I'm super excited and ready for this draft. Let's dive into it here. I pulled out the Ringers mock draft for 2023, so we'll also review this a little bit and see, how we feel about the ranking here. One thing I want to start off by saying, if you are new to the channel, please like the video, subscribe, come join the channel, come hang out with us. We have a good time over here, a lot of content on the way as I make my way back from my hiatus. Okay, we got some shout outs, so let's get right into it. Shouts out to Renee 7908. I am not well. That's what I'm feeling, bro. Yeah, there's a lot of stress going into this draft for sure. I'm hoping we do the right thing. Shouts out to Daniel Thole 8068. We beat Miami 4-0, so I personally think we would have eliminated them if we would have beat Chicago. The fact that we lost that playing game to Chicago is still, it haunts me, man. It really does haunt me. I think we could have beat Miami potentially in a playing game. I do like our matchup with them. I don't see us improving the same way that Miami improved as the playoffs went on, but is what it is. Shouts out to my twin 2754. Getting 2 or 3 picks in this draft is the smartest move a team can make. I agree. I love this draft. It's deep. I'm going to get into that in this video, so I don't want to talk about that too much, but I appreciate all the comments. I appreciate all the support. I don't know exactly how I'm going to do it. I don't think I'm going to live stream currently. I'm just not super set up for live streams, but I will definitely live record my reaction to draft night, start to finish. So if a trade happens, there will be a live reaction of that, and whatever pick we make, there will be a live reaction of that. So we can see how my reaction is, and if it matches that of the fan base, I'll be very interested to see. I'm a very emotional person, so I don't know exactly what's going to happen. We'll find out, man. I'm very nervous. Starting off, number 1 overall pick, Victor Wembanyama. I mean, that's not really a question at all. Not surprised by that. There's really nothing to talk about. Unicorn type of prospect that we haven't seen in a long time. Number 2, they currently have Brandon Miller, and here is where I don't know if that will happen. The buzz around Scoot Henderson right now is so high, I could really see Charlotte taking Scoot. Brandon Miller is a much better fit. Also, Charlotte could potentially trade this pick. I don't know if I would trade this pick unless you're getting Zion Williamson back. If you get Brandon Ingram, even then it's a question for me. I feel like Brandon Miller fits the time frame of this team really well. It's so tough to know what Charlotte's going to do here. It really is tough, but I think Scoot Henderson's a great player. I honestly am in the camp that believes that Raptors should really seriously look to trade for Scoot Henderson. There's like 2 or 3 players that I could see as like the future faces of your organization along with Scottie that fit really well to the Raptors. So there's a couple guys in the draft that I really want to talk about. But yeah, we'll see. Brandon Miller to Charlotte's what they have here. I could see that, so I'm not really mad at that. Next one, of course, we know Scoot Henderson, the apple of our eye, the player that we want. It is what it is. I don't know what else to say. I think Scoot would be happy in Toronto. There was a rumor that we covered in the last video that said that would be the case as well. My dream scenario would be you trade for the number 2 or 3 pick and get you Scoot Henderson. Then you trade for another pick, potentially number 10, and pick up another player that I'll mention later down in my list. Now, let's continue on. Amen Thompson at 4 to Houston. Seems Houston really does like this pick. There's a rumor I heard today that James Harden is more likely to re-sign in Philly, which may make Houston look to trade this pick less. I feel like Houston only goes all in if they were getting James Harden back. If they're not, I think they continue to just be horrible and, get young players. I don't know what else to tell you. Really like Amen Thompson. I wouldn't be surprised if the Raptors are sneaky interested in trading for the ability to draft Amen Thompson. Like, I could foresee a situation where even if it's Wemby 1, Scoot goes 2 to Charlotte, and Raptors don't make a trade with Charlotte, and then Raptors make a trade for 3, that they don't take Brandon Miller and they end up taking Amen Thompson at 3. That would not surprise me. I could easily see the Raptors having Amen Thompson higher than Brandon Miller on their, I feel like they probably do on their big board. So continue on. Jarris Walker 5 to Detroit, great player. I don't think he fit with the Raptors regardless. Anthony Black, like him a lot. Ken Whitmore is a nice player. Wouldn't mind him on the Raptors. Not the perfect fit that I'm thinking of. Asar Thompson, I'm also would be really happy with if he was somehow on the Raptors. Still higher on Amen, obviously, and Scoot. Bilal Coulibaly, cool on. I am cool on Bilal. I think he's a good player. If the Raptors, okay, I'm going to say this now. and I'm going to stick by this. If the Raptors go into the draft with all the rumors that we have, if they don't do nothing but leave with Bilal Coulibaly, wow, man, it would be awful, man. I think he's a great player. I think if the Raptors didn't have so many of the types of players that we have right now, where we're relying on athleticism and we're trying to teach skill, if we didn't have so many of those players or those archetypes, I'd be more interested in Bilal. But we have to add some skill from the jump, okay? We need to add some players that are already very skilled in creation, ball handling, shooting from the jump, that have the ability to get even better than that, than always starting from scratch. I don't want to always start from scratch on those traits. I'm really cool if we don't take Bilal. I'm hoping that's the case. Taylor Hendricks at 10, nice player. I think this is a draft pick that you could potentially trade for. Potentially, you move 13 and another asset like an Otto Porter or a Boucher, or I don't really want to lose Boucher, but you know what I mean. You gotta do what you gotta do. Or like a Malachi Flynn or something. I don't know if Malachi Flynn has any buzz left. Derek Lively at 11. That's honestly a nice player. I thought he should have been higher when the mock drafts first started coming out. So the fact that he's up at 11 kind of is honestly where I had him, up in this like late lottery range. Kobe Buffkin is a player I am very high on. Someone I would be very happy if the Raptors take on draft night. And I think he's a guy that could go higher. I feel like teams around the league are probably pretty high on this guy, where he could probably go. I wouldn't be surprised if he went anywhere from like 7 on, honestly. I would not be surprised by that at all. Kobe Buffkin, a player that has a lot of Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in his game, not really in the way they move, because Shai is such a weird player in a beautiful way that it's really hard for a player to sort of mimic his stop and go, offhand, off balance type of play that he has. But I really like what Kobe Buffkin brings. I like the fact that he's a good defender. I like the fact that he tries on that end. He can hit a shot. He's pretty crafty. I would really like Kobe Buffkin at 13, one of the guards that I'd be happy with. I think ultimately we need to pair the Raptors with a guard and a shooter. I'd be really happy with Kobe Buffkin. In this draft, they have the Raptors taking Jalen Hood-Schifino. I'm very high on Jalen Hood-Schifino, honestly. I think people are a little bit lower on him, honestly. Well, actually, he's got quite a range. If we're being real, I've seen him mocked sometimes as high as like 10 or 9. I think he has a lot of potential. I like his shift. I like his poise. I like his confidence. Yes, the shooting needs to be more consistent, and this is one of the few guys who is not a great shooter that I would be willing to gamble on, because I really do like the shot, and I think there's just time and reps is what it'll take with him. But I love the size at 6'5". It shows 6'4" there, but 6'4", 6'5", strong. The ability to improve. He showed a lot of improvement from his days at Mount Verde Academy. I do like Jalen Hood-Schifino. I think that would be a very good pick. Yeah, and I think he's a Raptors type of player. I could easily see the Raptors having him very high on their list. I think at the end of this video, I'm going to show my top Raptors guys and my guess as who the Raptors have as top guys, right? So I'll do that quick list at the end. Going on to number 14, Keyonte George. A lot of people really like Keyonte George. I really do like him. I do have some concerns about his ability to just initially get by someone, where I'm seeing a lot of footage of him, and I haven't watched enough film on him to be honest, so I'm not going to say too much, where his moves aren't always getting him past the defender. Some people are saying, oh, he's just like Gary. He has more zest to his crossovers than Gary, in my opinion. And I do like the way he attacks the basket when he actually does have somewhat of a lane. I think there's a lot of scoring potential in there. How high is his ceiling? It's really hard to tell. I think he floors at a bench score and then pops as an all-star level player. Maybe not an all-star player you say for sure he's an all-star every year, but like he'd be definitely making a couple all-star teams. Gradey Dick is a player I am super high on. I am super high on Gradey Dick. I think in this mock, having him 15 to Atlanta is sleeping on him. You haven't heard as much buzz about him in recent weeks, and I think a lot of that has to do with, I can't remember where I saw this, but the fact that he probably wouldn't pop too much in a team workout. Aside from being able to shoot the ball really well, which a lot of guys are going to look good shooting the ball in these open workouts, the confidence that Gradey Dick has shooting the ball in game, his IQ, cutting off the basketball, he's a decent finisher, got some bounce. Defense is going to be a problem. He's going to be targeted, but he has the length. And honestly, on Toronto, I feel like that's a team that will be able to, of course, somewhat hide that. So far on the Raptors, when you look at the team, this year on the team, Raptors, you should be able to guard at every single position this year. And how are the Raptors on defense? Still pretty ass. So I would be very welcome to see Gradey Dick. Cason Wallace, another guy I am pretty high on as well. We just growing through a list of guys I'm high on here. This whole range, I am very happy with any of these players. I think you have to combine it though. That's why I would want to see a guard. So if we go with a guard like a Cason Wallace or a Kobe Buffkin or a Keyonte George or a Jalen Schifino, that we match them with a Gradey Dick, or I'll get into Jett Howard in a second, but let's focus on Cason Wallace. Defense is great. I think he measured higher than 6'2", if I remember correctly, but really good defender, good shooter. Showed a little bit more in creation than I was maybe expecting with him. I think he's honestly someone that people are kind of sleeping on his ceiling a little bit. I think, you know, you can go with the bias that Kentucky guards always show more in the NBA, and they're always somewhat limited in the Kentucky system. I really do. I buy the defense. I buy the hustle, the heart. He's definitely a Raptors type player. He fits more like a Kyle Lowry type than someone who's going to score crazy. Like he can impact the game in a lot of different ways, and I think he could learn to do some things that Kyle Lowry did, but obviously Kyle Lowry's not here and I need to move on. You know, I don't need to talk about him anymore. Sometimes we talk about our ex. It's what we do. I don't know what to tell you. Jett Howard. I'm actually very high on Jett Howard. I know he's not a good defender right now. The shot making that he showed at Michigan was special. I think he has a lot more than just being a shooter. If you see the footage, he can actually do some pretty interesting things creating. Not there yet in terms of creating for others in a really meaningful way, as like definitely not a first primary creator, and probably not even a secondary creator right now, but there's a lot of potential that I'm seeing there. Honestly, I can think of a lot of situations where the Raptors stay at 13 and then try and make a trade either for 16 or something like that and try and pick up a Jett Howard. I really think that he's someone that you could try to get if Gradey Dick is already off the board. Round out the first round here. I'll let y'all know if anyone else does anything for me. Bryce Sensabaugh does not enough for me. Doesn't play defense enough. Brandon Podziemski is good, but with all the guards that are going to be ahead here, I don't really have much interest in him. Nick Smith, I'm actually higher on than a lot. I do like his type of player. The way he scored, his numbers weren't good this year. We can talk about the injury. I think that did play a role. I like the way he moves off ball. I really like the way he also plays with the ball in his hands. Yes, he needs to work on getting to the rim all the way. I think these are things that can improve. I really like Nick Smith. I wouldn't be surprised if the Raptors see him pretty highly too. There's a lot of great players around this spot, so that's the main reason I think Nick Smith ends up maybe not being the guy at 13, but I really like him. I honestly would not be too mad if he's the guy at 13, but I would like to see more than just Nick Smith. I would like to see him get another pick. Jordan Hawkins, I'm not super high on. I think he's decent, but I don't know. I just feel like shooting is important. Shooting is needed. If we get another guard and then we take Jordan Hawkins, okay. I'd rather see us if a Gradey Dick's available, which, you know, he's a much higher player, obviously. If a Jett Howard's available, if a Nick Smith Jr. is available, I'd rather those players just because they offer a little bit more outside of just shooting. Leonard Miller is an interesting player, but not someone the Raptors should be targeting because they have 8 players like this dude. James Nagy I actually really like. Don't think he's a guy for Toronto, but I really do like him. Oliver Maxis Prosper, I'd be happy with him if the Raptors pick up a late first round pick. No, Clowney's another guy. I'm kind of in between on, if I'm being real. Kobe Jones, I like Kobe Jones. I think he's a solid player, a nice guy that they could pick up. These guys at the end, I'm not super high on, but if the Raptors are picking up multiple picks, I'm not mad if they would take even a Chris Murray. I kind of like his fit as a shooter that has some size as well. Dariq Whitehead, not super high on, but you know, if you buy into the high school tape, which I don't for weird reasons. Maxwell Lewis, not super high on. Trace Jackson Davis, I actually am kind of high on. Oh, Ben Shepherd, I'm actually really high on. I see him as anywhere in the 20s, realistically, in the first round is where I like him at. And I think he's someone that does a lot of the similar things as maybe a Jett Howard without all the... I mean, nah, actually, they're not very similar players at all. But I really do like Ben Shepherd overall. He's a not a lockdown defensive player, but a solid defensive player, a really good shooter. And yeah, I mean, he played, you know, a smaller conference, I believe, if I remember correctly. But I still like what I saw. So that's what we're going to talk about for now. Let me get my list real quick. Hold on. Let me get my list. All right, so I put down a quick list, and I omitted a lot of guys in this list because I'm not going to just jot I'm not going to make a full mock draft. I'm just putting some guys that... just so you can get an idea of how I view what probably the Raptors are thinking versus how I might view it. So I think the Raptors would have Scoot as the #1 player that they can reasonably target in the draft, with Wemby being off the board. I see them kind of skipping Brandon Miller, going straight to Amen and Ausar Thompson. With Cam after those guys, I think Kobe would be the next guy that they have. Gradey Dick after, Jalen Hood Schifino, then Cason Wallace, Nick Smith Jr., then Keyonte George, and Jett Howard rounding it out. And then with my own personal list, I would have Scoot 1, Amen Miller. Then I would have Brandon Miller and Cam Whitmore before Ausar Thompson. Then I go Kobe, Buffkin, Gradey Dick, Cason Wallace above Jalen Hood Schifino and Keyonte George. Then Nick Smith Jr., Jett Howard to round it out. This is just something rough, man. I made this in literally a minute and a half, so don't think too hard into it. But that's what I have. I'm very curious as to some players that you think the Raptors should be targeting. Who are your top 3 guys that the Raptors should get at 13? So let's not even include Scoot in the conversation. Top 3 guys you think the Raptors should target at 13, assuming relatively that they should be available at that time. Let me know down in the comments down below. And that's going to do it for this one, man. That's my draft preview. We will have another video following the draft, talking about what we saw and how we're feeling. I don't know what I'll do draft night. It's a pretty busy night for me. Shouts out to my sister's graduation. I love you, and I'm very proud of you. And you know I'm gonna be busy rushing between that and the draft. So, phew. Anyway, appreciate y'all for liking the video and supporting the boy. And yeah, a lot more content coming out. If there's anything, you know, glass shattering that happens, I'll try and get a video out. But you know, other people that do this have this as their 9 to 5. This is you know, not my 9 to 5 currently. So I'll do my best to get a video out as soon as I can. Love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Praying for good things for the Raptors. Praying for no Bilal Coulibaly. No disrespect to the man. It's just I just can't do it. I will have a mental breakdown, I think. So yeah.